Hello, welcome to Zentangle Explore. I am so excited that you're here to draw with me, either live or on the recording. Thank you for coming to breathe and draw really slow lines. So this is a class where we draw one Zentangle pattern really, really slowly. All you would need is a couple of pieces of paper. I have watercolor paper here, something small you can hold in the palm of your hand, and a pen. I have a 01 Micron. I have a graphic one, which is a little bit thicker. A Sharpie pen felt tip you can get in an office supply store, or a ballpoint. So if you just have a ballpoint and just like a grocery list piece of paper, absolutely perfect. You can draw really pretty things really slowly while breathing. All right, so um, we are going to do a little meditation, a little breathing, slowing down. And if I didn't already say it, my name is Esther Piszczek and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. Okay, so get nice and comfortable in your seat. You can close your eyes if you like. I'm going to close mine and we're going to breathe. Just settle in. Allow all of you to become present right now in this moment, knowing that you are safe. You are safe to sit. You are safe to breathe. You are safe to feel. To begin, just notice the parts of you that are touching something else. Maybe your feet on the floor, or your seat in a chair. Perhaps you're lying down. Perhaps your hands are touching a desk or the floor or the ground or your legs, clothing. Just tune into the sensations, whatever sensations you're feeling, whether it be skin against clothing, breath against skin, perhaps the weight of your body, the connection to the earth, to the floor, to the chair. Maybe you can feel air brushing against skin, blowing against cheeks. Just allow whatever you're feeling to be. So gently bring your attention to your inhale. Just find that little inhale. Say hello, little inhale. Welcome to this moment. And just notice what it is to breathe, what it feels like to inhale, to rest at the top, and then the release of the exhale with the rest at the bottom. Just allowing that inhale, exhale cycle to be exactly as it is, and your only focus. Just noticing the parts, bringing awareness to any shifts that happen with your awareness. Perhaps telling yourself that it is safe to breathe. I am safe to breathe. I am safe to breathe. I am safe to breathe. And when you're ready, let's take a big inhale together. Nice sighing, releasing exhale. Oh. Allowing that sound vibration to calm your nervous system. tickle your ears, help you to know that you are here in this moment. Another big inhale together. A nice releasing exhale. Oh. Sound vibrating, massaging organs. Nice little just reminder of what it is to be you. Another nice big inhale together. And a nice releasing exhale. Ah. When you're ready, you can open your eyes, knowing that whatever we create together will be perfect just as it is. Okay, thank you for breathing with me. It's so helpful for drawing slow lines to just settle in and breathe first. Okay, so I'm going to change my camera and we will draw. All right, I have a couple pieces of watercolor paper here that is small enough to fit in the palm of my hand. I have more than one in case I want to draw on more than one. You can start a new composition whenever you like. I have a 01 Micron. I have a graphic one, which is a little bit of a thicker pen for any fill. I have a Sharpie, which you can buy at an office supply store with a little felt tip. And if you just have a ballpoint, absolutely perfect. All right, so I'm going to start over here. We are drawing a sweet little pattern, exploring a sweet little pattern called cake. And those that have drawn with me in person or online may have drawn this one before. I love this pattern. It was created by 9-year-old Una Wang in Taiwan. And it's going to start out with just these little peaks, like little icing peaks. The name of the pattern is Cake. Just a line of little peaks. And if your line is not straight, if your peaks are not the same height, that does not matter at all. Does not matter. So next, we're just going to put a little smile line here at the bottom of each one of these little peaks. And then a little orb at the top. And these start to look like little children or angels. Nice and slowly. Sometimes I get so excited about drawing that I forget that we're drawing slowly. Especially when drawing circles. It's super helpful to be mindful about where you start, where you're going, and where you end. Sometimes my students ask me how to get better at drawing circles, and the answer is to draw more circles. And the last thing is a little black orb. And so in this class, we explore in your way, not my way. So at the end, yes, I'm teaching you this pattern, but at the end, I expect that it will look nothing like mine and absolutely everything like yours. So it's a simple little pattern, simple little black. And this class is all about exploring. So we look at the elements. First, we have this little peak line, little peaks. Next, we have the little smile line at the bottom. So ask yourself, do the peaks need to be the same height? Could they be wider? Could they be more spread apart? Could they be closer together? Could be they higher and lower? This little smile line, does it have to be a smile line? Could it have a wiggle in it? Could it be a straight line? Could it be a triangular line or a peak in the other direction? And then an orb at the top. Does this orb have to be this size? Could it be really, really big? Maybe there are two orbs, maybe there are three, maybe they're stacked on top of each other. And then this little black orb here in between. Does it have to be there? Could it be in this little dress area? Could it be balanced on top? Could there be 4 or 5 of them going out into space? You get to choose. And then we have this little kind of triangular space here inside where this little smile line is, and that can also be filled either with black or with pattern. We can make an entire line of these, just like this, drawing them as the creator drew them, but then personalize them by filling in just this little space and seeing what happens. So this is what we would call a band tangle. It doesn't have to stay in a band. You could say to yourself, I'm going to take this out and around on a little walk all by itself. You can explore how you draw the tangle, knowing that it is completely up to you which part of this comes first. You get to decide how you arrange the tangle. This class is all about permission, about giving yourself permission to draw and explore and create whatever it is that you want to draw and explore and create. This class has nothing to do with creating what I'm creating or meeting my approval or anybody else's approval. It's not actually even about meeting your own approval. This class is about letting go of the need for approval at all, about valuing what shows up at the tip of your pen simply because it is there. About recognizing that you are a sovereign being making choices, and that your choices are valuable simply because they come from you. And that when you value your own choices, then you're able to recognize your uniqueness and how that uniqueness is valuable to others, because nobody else out there is doing or thinking or saying what you are doing or thinking or saying. And that makes whatever you're doing interesting. And it's interesting regardless of whether or not you think it's interesting. So it's so much more pleasing to find it interesting instead of waiting for somebody else to tell you that it is. So we have this line of peaks, like little waves, and you get to say exactly what they look like. Maybe they look something like mine, maybe they look nothing like mine. And then the little smile line, which can be absolutely anything. It can be squiggly, it can be angular, it can be triangular. And then the orb. It can be really giant. It can be really small. There can be more than one. It can be oval. It could be square. It could be triangular. It could be rectangular. It could be octagonal. Really can be anything you want it to be. This is your creation. You get to create whatever you'd like to create. There's so much power in recognizing that you are making the choice, and it's your choice to make. And then this little black orb in between. And that could be anywhere you want it to be. It could be any size you want it to be. You can decide that you don't want it to be black. You want it to be clear and open. You can decide whether or not you want it to be heart-shaped. You could decide every single part of this process. And when your pen decides for you, you get to decide that that is valuable, because what is showing up is something unexpected and surprising. And it's especially amazing when it is something that does not fall in line with your expectation. Releasing expectation is a beautiful practice of allowing. Super freeing. And super helpful for inviting your creativity to speak to you. So that more inventive, lovely things come that are outside your expectation. And it also makes it easier, I have found, to actually meet your expectation, because you're now in flow, you're now in partnership with your creativity. When we're constantly forcing ourselves to create what our brains tell us is necessary to create, whether for our own agenda or the agenda of somebody else, then we're not being playful. We're not allowing our inner muse to participate with us in that creation process. And so we're stopping the flow of creativity, saying, well, only what I expect and what I want is good.
Everything else is bad. Think about that and feel into that. Only what I expect is good, and everything else is bad. That is a very limited way of being, and it just doesn't even feel good. It feels terrible. When we begin to embrace our own ideas, our own creativity, our own inclinations, and we start to see that other people have ideas and creativity and inclinations that are different from ours. When we value our own, it makes it easier to value others. It's a beautiful little give and take. Because this is a band tangle, you can take it and make it into like a channel grid. Line them all next to each other, line them up next to each other. Just breathing and drawing slow lines. This is a really excellent pattern for adding color. I'm going to come back to this one. Bigger pen. Just allowing yourself to be so slow to release the grip on that pen if you're gripping it. Turn your tile when you want to turn your tile. I find that the inner critic is a feisty little thing. And so what helps me is to remind myself over and over again that what I'm creating is valuable and worthy. Even when my inner critic is saying, that's terrible, how awful, nobody wants to see that. But I've been drawing for so long and watching students draw for so long that I've come to realize that every single line leads to the next line. And so if I throw out all the lines that I think aren't good enough, I'm left with nothing because there's nothing to build on. There's no foundation to start from. Van Gogh did not start out painting beautiful things. None of the masters did. They started by painting. They started by drawing. And so when we decide that something isn't good enough, then we're stealing our own skill building from ourselves. And why would we do that? The result is just misery, feeling like you're in failure all the time, that nothing you do will ever match up or will ever be as good as what somebody else does. But the truth is that other person that we're looking at that says, oh, well, they're doing this beautiful thing. They're doing that beautiful thing because that's what's coming out of them. And when they look at your work and they say, wow, she or he or they are doing this beautiful thing, it's because it's what's coming out of you. So it's really easy. Misha has joined the class. It's really easy to tell ourselves that everybody else is more successful, that all of their lines are better, all of their artwork is better. But all we're really doing is cheating ourselves of our own development, our own growth, and our own joy when we do that. And when we're the ones choosing the thoughts that we think, the lines that we draw, whether or not to celebrate ourselves for our uniqueness or to judge ourselves against everybody else and come up short, it's always our choice. It doesn't always feel like a choice. But when we recognize that we're choosing, then we see that everything is our choice. And that is so empowering, because when we consciously choose, everything becomes so much easier. And so when I'm drawing or in any situation actually, I was just doing a lot of traveling last week, all kinds of new situations. I found myself affirming my safety over and over and over again, which was so super helpful to walk into a room full of people, a little bit chaotic, to say, I am safe. I am safe. I'm so safe. Safety, worthiness. Nobody's going to give it to you on a silver platter. It all has to start on the inside. Okay, Misha is becoming a very active participant in this class, which is a little challenging. Okay, Kitty, let the pen go. An aura, which is just a line that mimics what came before, is so super helpful for drawing. It really adds a new element. So anything that you are, okay, Kitty, anything that you are imagining, or if you have any little voice in your head that says, wow, I want to do this. What if I did this to this pattern? What if I did that? What if I got out a highlighter and started adding color or drawing with color? What if I have a piece of scrap paper that has marker on it and then I decide to draw on that piece of paper instead of a clean, like fresh piece of paper? Like, what would that look like? You get to do that. And if you're not used to exploring in this way, to begin, just take one simple element and change it. And say, what if this circle is not quite a circle? What if this line was not a curve or straight? What if I did something crazy to it, like I am right now? what would it look like? How would it change the tangle? And then just let go of the idea of liking it. Say, I don't have to like what shows up. What's important is that I value its presence. That's all. I value this new thing. I value its presence because it is teaching me something about myself, about drawing, about how I show up in the world, about my consciousness, about what is conscious for me, what I'm awake and alive to. And all of that information is so super helpful for making new choices, for valuing who we are and what we are right now. And it can all happen right here on the page. It can all happen so simply by drawing a line and then loving that line simply because it showed up. And it showed up from your hand, from the pen that you were holding, from this moment right now as you're breathing and drawing. What I love about this way of drawing, well, one, Zentangle in general is just delightful, but also exploring like this is because everything becomes gold. There's no limit to the number of lines or the way that they show up on the page. So every time I sit down to draw, I don't have to know what's going to show up. But what's important is that I value what is showing up. Because I'm never going to draw these lines ever again. And the lines that you're drawing right now, you are never going to draw them ever again. Not exactly, precisely as you're drawing them right now. Whenever I'm experiencing something like a wound or hurt or a memory comes back up, it's very easy to say, oh, I'm exactly where I was when this thing came into my life. And now nothing has changed. The pain is the same. Everything is the same. But in reality, nothing is the same. The memory might be sort of the same, but who you are now compared to who you were when that thing happened, those are light years apart. And when we tell ourselves that nothing has changed, we're just creating suffering. And we can tell ourselves, oh, this thing's coming back up. That means that it has something more to teach me. Or that means there's a new perspective available to me now because I'm not the same person I was when I encountered it the first time. That changes everything. It shifts everything. But those new ideas, that new possibility, it isn't even an option when we tell ourselves that everything is the same. Nothing is the same. Everything has changed since the last time you visited that memory, that thought, that idea. What we need more of is not fulfilling our expectations, but we need more wiggle room. We need more open doors and open windows into our thought process, into other people's thought process, so that we can become more flexible. And that flexibility can start very simply by valuing the marks on the page. So we don't even have to really change any lines. We can just add weighting. Just draw over a line and make it darker or thicker. And that in and of itself is going to change the pattern. So when you draw something that you don't expect or something that you think is so-called ugly or not worthy, a really great practice to bringing that into more of a state of wholeness is to tell yourself, all right, maybe I don't like what this looks like. Maybe this is not what I expected to show up, but I can see that because it showed up, it is foundational for what's going to come next, and therefore it is valuable. And you're giving yourself permission to not like it, but to also recognize its value. So that it's not automatically discarded, thrown away, burned, trashed, negated. It's like telling your creativity, go away, you're too bothersome, you don't fit within my expectations, therefore I'm going to erase you, cancel you. And that just feels terrible, and it does not encourage your own innate sense of creativity, because we are all creative beings. It does not encourage it to show up and to help you. And creativity is what's necessary for problem solving. So when we get in a bind and we can't use the ways that we're used to doing something, or that we don't have the tool necessary that we need, we can say, well, what do I have and how can I adapt that in order to help myself solve whatever problem it is that needs to be solved. And that happens by inviting in your creativity and recognizing that it's valuable and it has something to say. But if you're not in the practice of noticing it, It'll be very difficult to recognize what it's trying to tell you. And so practicing on the page is a really fantastic way to practice for real life. The amazing thing about drawing in patterns is if you draw one thing, even the ugliest thing you've ever thought of, and you draw it over and over and over again on a page, it will become beautiful. Really, really cool. Really, really, really cool. And if you don't believe me, I encourage you to try it. Try it. See what happens. See what wants to show up for you on the page. And what's lovely to do with the pieces that you don't particularly like is to really go hog wild and experiment like crazy town, where you add wild color combinations and you paint over it with watercolor or acrylic paint. And you just say, you know what, this is now, it was exploratory to begin with, but now it's a total experiment. I'm going to take putty and I'm going to attach it like 3D. I'm going to do a mixed media. I'm going to cut up a magazine piece and decoupage over it, allowing some of my drawing to be there. Like that is where real creativity happens. So embrace every single line, every tile, everything that you don't like. One day may be the creative genius that was just hidden in plain sight. You have no idea right now. So don't decide prematurely that something isn't good enough. Okay, here are my creations. I hope you enjoyed creating with me today and exploring this beautiful little pattern called Cake, created by a 9-year-old. This pattern just makes me happy. So I'm so glad that you came to draw with me. Thank you so much for drawing. This was so super fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to draw with me again, you can visit my YouTube channel where there are over 80 of these classes. And you can find my classes on rejuventangle.com, and you can see my work at eternalpossibility.com. And if you would like to donate to this class, you can do so at paypal.me/eternalpossibility. All right, happy drawing, everybody.